Start.
Oh, there.
Hi everyone, this is Ms. Sharma again, and today we're gonna have Mr. Nemic. He is my partner teacher in my school. I mean, he was my partner teacher last year, but he's my mentor also. I call him my mentor also.
That's very sweet.
So
Also very untrue.
I don't think so, guys. You're gonna see this, and you're gonna see the difference. Mr. Nemic, the reason why I was trying to have this conversation with you is because you are in a school where you have like diverse learners over here, and when you look at those students, the way how I have seen you working with them is you have that special tendency where everyone in your room feel welcomed. And since you guys don't know about this, I'm just going to mention this. So suppose if a student is coming from Hispanic background, Mr. Nemic try to speak with them in Spanish. When it's an Indian kid, he learned few words from me and he tried to speak with them in that. Like even if it's like greeting, he does that. So how do you see as a teacher when you see such a diverse group with you? How do you acknowledge everyone's need over there?
I, I mean, I think you do it too. I mean, I think it's a struggle in a sense, right? We want to provide some type of comfort level for all the kids, and even when we try, we don't always achieve that, right? I mean, there's still some kids that are hard to get to, I guess, right? Does that make sense?
That makes sense for me because I have seen that, like that cultural gap. I have seen sometimes that I have struggled just because I want to understand them.
Well, I just remember when I was in school, it was a different time period, and I didn't always feel like I belonged. You know what I mean?
Why?
I don't know. I think it was just a different time period. I mean, I accepted everything. It wasn't a big deal. Like I was telling somebody the other day, like when I was in high school, I remember one of my teachers would change our seats after every test,
Yeah.
and we would be seated by our test scores.
Oh, okay.
So something like that would not be allowed today, right?
Yeah.
That would be nobody would even think to do something like that right now, you know. And I think for me, I always want the students because they're here for so long. I want them to feel like this is a place that they're welcome no matter what. That there's, no judgment here. Like, what's that gym that's around here? Planet Fitness, judgment free zone,
Ah,
right?
yeah, right. The judgment free zone.
Judgment free zone. And I want them because learning is a process, and if they're not comfortable here, then that's going to be a barrier immediately to their learning, right?
Yeah, I agree. So, I was just thinking about this right now because I had a conversation with Mr. Nemic. We just started with the conversation, and I'm like, I want to record this. So, I was asking him, how can you, like, as a teacher, control yourself where you're not biased to everyone? I have seen it, and that's why I'm emphasizing more on this because this is one of my team member on whom I have seen and I have learned like my career have changed just because I have observed him how he tackle different kids with different needs, and I'm talking about all needs like either it's emotional support or either it's autistic support. So I have seen that, and I want to ask you, how do you cope up with this biasness? Like how do you manage that? Because this is the instinct which come as soon as you like the parents like me who are traveling from a different country and coming to the states, we sometimes struggle and have that feeling, oh, maybe this teacher is biased, and we never ask for clarification. We never, as an Indian parent, we never go to a teacher and ask them, oh, are you biased to my kids? Or we never even say to the teacher that you're biased to my kids.
Sure.
So how do you do that?
Do you ever feel that?
I have felt that. Like
Yeah.
I have felt that there was an instant which have, and I have shared with you earlier. But how do you feel it? Like how do you handle these type of situations?
it's it's tough. I think of myself as being someone who is very self-reflective, if that makes sense. I'm always picking apart what I'm doing, even though my teaching style, I'm sure a lot of people think that I'm pretty aloof and don't, and right, um, too laid back or whatever like that. But I'm always picking apart in my head what I'm doing, and I see bias in myself. I mean, I'm human, and I think that I've learned over the past few years actually about the implicitness, the implicit bias that we all have, and the key is that I try to treat, you know, how do I say it? I used to work in mental health, right? And when I worked at the facility it was a mental health facility for adolescents. And the important thing is to not remind people of triggers,
Okay.
okay? And I think that in a way trained me to view a kid or a person just for, who they are. If that
That makes sense.
does it
Like,
make sense?
yes,
'Cause,
that does make sense. You are not. So this is how Mr. Nemic's teaching style have changed my perspective. Earlier, when I used to see the kids, and I still feel that sometimes I am biased, and my biasness comes from, oh, so I have a kid who is suppose autistic support, and he need my extra love and care. I do provide that, and when I'm doing that, sometime suppose if a kid is randomly walking and he didn't like the clicking sound and someone did it, I would ask the other kids to stop it because it's annoying for that person. But then that kid also felt like, oh, why did you always stop me? It is nothing
I got you,
like
because there was a need for that person
yeah,
to do to
yeah.
make the note.
So this is like I get bias in those cases.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the academic part, but emotional supports, yes, we do. And when I have what I have learned from Mr. Nemic is sometimes you just have to let it go, let the moment pass for that kid, because sometimes things happen at homes which we don't know.
Well,
right?
yeah, and to be perfectly honest, I mean, I appreciate all the kind words you're saying about me, but I'm not far from perfect, right? So, I had an incident a couple weeks ago where another teacher and a student were getting into a situation, and I lost it. I got angry at the student, and you know, I didn't know because this student did not have an IEP, right? I didn't know how that they would react in a certain way, right? And this happens a lot,
Yep,
right?
this happens a lot.
So later on, I thought to myself, I think if I had known, see, this is part of a biasness, right? If I had known that that kid was going to respond that way, I would have approached it differently. Now,
I agree.
but that's not right, right? Because if I'm responding to a kid because they don't have an IEP one way, and another kid because they have these known triggers, then I'm not being responsible, really, right? It's
Right,
it's
that's
it's
right.
treating
One
everybody
equally as a
the
teacher.
way that I would treat the person if I knew that they had a trigger, right? So
Yeah.
if I thought about that deeper and I didn't allow myself to lose it, then the situation would have been different. And that's being respectful to all the students, not just ones who are going to behave a certain way, right?
Yeah. So, just letting you guys know that Mr. Nemic is talking about someone else's student. So if they are Mr. Nemic's homeroom student, they already know him, and he knows them. He knows IP everything, but he's that teacher also who will try to help the other teachers if they are struggling with certain kids. And I'm pretty positive he must have seen something in the pod, and that's why you try to jump into that situation.
Well, yeah, I was brought into it by another teacher, but which is fine,
Because,
and I know
the
you would
reason,
do the same
yeah,
thing.
the reason behind that is because he's the person on whom everyone trusts. Like, we know that if he's there, he can help us out over there. And that's why I wanted to discuss this topic with him. I want to discuss, like, I want to interview more to him about how he treat the diverse learners. But right now, you can see that we are just talking about how unknowingly we
Yeah,
may be biased. Like you said, that
sure.
if you would have known that kid's IEP, you would have responded in a different
Yeah,
way. So that is like,
but that's not the right mentality that I should have.
but that's, isn't it natural? Like, human do that.
I think that that's natural, but I think if we're trying to do the best for each of our students, right? I mean, let's go back to when I was working in the mental hospital, right? The mental facility, if you will. There are certain things that I would avoid for the benefit of all the students, right? So I shouldn't talk to students that are not identified one way and then have a completely different way to talk to identified students. I should be talking to them all with the same, and then, you know, meeting each one of them
Needs
where they need
where
to
they
be
are.
met. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I
that's
agree.
so that's the one thing that I've picked apart over the last few weeks about what I need to get better on. And I think that if you're going to be an educator, I just think in life, right?
Yeah.
You want to always get better, right?
And that's what I love about Mr. Nemic, because, like, for him, I have only seen maybe one time losing his temper. And I'm just saying losing his temper means he will raise his voice. So this person is the calmest person, but after the incident happened, he will have a discussion with us. Did I do something wrong? Was it I right on the place? So he have that self-reflection, and I enjoy that, and I try to learn that from him.
But you have
That's
it too, though. I mean, you say you try to
not
learn
that
it, but I
much.
think you
Like,
do.
no,
Yeah.
not like that much. The amount of patience and like those things I still as a teacher learn, and every time I see, like, if I wish, if I can, I would have my teacher, my own kids, sorry, my own kids, to have a teacher like Mr. Nemic, because he's gonna be an amazing teacher for your kids. So
Well, I
right now,
appreciate that. Thank you
thank
very much.
you're welcome. So thank you, Mr. Nemic, for having this conversation with us. We're gonna try to interview Mr. Nemic more to see how it goes.
Anytime.
Thank you.